Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Happiest CEO Show. So excited to be here today with Nathan Folksy, and he's the founder and owner of MojoSurf, one of Australia's most iconic surf and adventure companies. And he started this whole thing in 1998 and has turned a passion and love for surfing and travel into a thriving international business that teaches thousands of people to ride their first wave each year, having fun, discovering a passion for themselves across Australia, Bali, and many other places. And what I love about Nathan's journey is how it shows that combining passion and purpose and business is a possibility. But it's also a process, and one that takes time and grit and genuine connection to people and place to make that all work. And MojoSurf isn't just a surf school. It's a lifestyle and a community that is built around fun, freedom, and sustainability. In today's episodes, we will explore also how Nathan built that culture that he's leaned into to grow from a purpose-driven business into a wonderful community, as well as so much more. So thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really excited to have you here because you're so multifaceted.
Oh, man. I'm just a freak of nature.
Well, you did really well. You're really adaptive that way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adaptation and finding a way, two of the core, principles of survival in business, life, whatever, because the world's changing, always. That's one thing we can never harness.
Yeah.
So you've got to roll with it. Just like the surf, all of that analogy.
Yeah. Well, I was actually about to do that analogy and basically saying so I could argue both ways. I could argue, well, because a surfer can't predict what the wave will be like and they will have to adapt if they want to ride that wave. So that would be adaptation. But then also, and that's maybe the wrong picture, surfers are pretty relaxed about things. And if I look at my journey in business, you also need grit and actually the drive, which to me, surfers could also lag a little bit.
No. Well, that's the paddling out the back, so surfing and riding a wave is basically the gold. And, the dirt is the paddling and the duck diving, especially on a big day.
Yeah.
When you just have to be so persistent and you have to navigate, where the channel is or where the easiest way to get out is.
Yes.
So you have to be aware of that environment and what's going on. But you also have to be patient and persistent and kind of time the set, stay in the impact zone until you get your little window, and then you just go like hell.
Okay.
Get through to the next set. And then sometimes you make it. Sometimes you always make it because you just keep on keeping on.
Yeah. So when you then build the bridge to business, it's similar, right? You always deal with stuff.
Yeah, there's just so many different, especially if you want to progress at surfing and you want to become good at it, you've got to throw yourself into it.
Yeah.
And you got to surf, rain, hail or shine. You got to get up early, But with surfing for me, it was like I've lived 10 surfers' lifestyles where it's competitive, and it's in a box and you're training and you're doing this and that, and surfing's about a score on a card.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get through that and you're like, man, that's just a nightmare. That's not surfing. It's too, intense and too boxed up.
Yeah.
Some people leave it early. Some people stay with it. Some people love it. They'll stay with it forever, like Slater. Lord,
Lord.
But then you got the rusters of the world who are just like, don't put me in a box. I just want to surf when I want, where I want, how I want, and I'll ride what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's partly the essence for where I'm at and where I evolved to as well. So I don't know. Yeah, relating that back to business is the same, because some businesses in a box, whereas some people in business just totally freestyle, and they associate it more with passion and purpose as opposed to the box. So
yes,
it will become less about the regimented lifestyle of trying to be a Fortune 500 company or whatever else.
Yeah.
They'll just evolve of what feels good. That's their guiding kind of light. And you can get lost all the time. You're like halfway through just being totally out of control.
Yeah.
And you have to conform because society says conform.
Yeah.
The way that a business should be run.
Yeah.
You've got to have HR. You've got to have accounts, you got to have finance, you got to have capital, you got to have this, that, the other. And it's just like, and then you just like try and become a business person.
Yeah.
And then that takes you away from your passion.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just like tug of war of responsibility and fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been through it all.
Yeah, and I certainly know also sort of the less glamorous times where I felt I really had to be just in the business mode, but not in the passion. For me, it's wellness, right? So, do less of that actually, or find not the time because there's so much grit. And then remember, well, why did I start this? This is right because of, X, Y, and Z. And then got to go back into live that yourself again and not being just a business engine behind it that tries to make it all work. Eh?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, I'm always trying to find, I left school at 14 years old. Classic. Yeah, surf story. I was like, so much time off school.
Yeah.
My school bus at that time, because I lived everywhere in Australia, but the school bus at that time went past one of the best right-hand point breaks in the area.
Yeah.
So I had surfboards stashed under the house, and I had to deal with the bus driver that, he would let me off at that stop if it was pumping.
Yeah.
And he'd let me back on in the afternoon. So I'd get back home. And everyone's like, oh, get schoolboy all day long. Anyway, so we surfed so much, and it got to the point where my school advisor said, well, you're never here, so have you ever thought about leaving school?
Oh, great.
I was like, as a matter of fact, I have.
Yeah. And it was possible it was 14, hey?
It was not really possible unless you could forge a letter from your dad saying he's got a job.
Right. Oh, and they can't check it. That's just, they could, but yeah.
Back in the day, they can't check it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's got a letter. I was good at signatures.
Gee.
That's where I first, started to become creative. Anyway, I left school at that age, and then I just went surfing. Just like totally having the best time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And surf. Everything was about surfing. Hitching rides up the coast, down the coast. And because I'd grown up around the whole of the country, everywhere from Crabs Creek to Streaky Bay, which is in South Australia, and Albany across the WA, I just knew people everywhere. And I just kind of freestyle.
Yeah.
Back to Crabs Creek, but buddies, in Byron, Central Coast, Victoria, Great Ocean Road, so many places to surf. Until, I did hit 16 and then, my dad did say, hey, I got you a job.
Oh, he got you a job?
Yeah, he got me a job.
Oh, that was...
As a carpenter.
Yes.
Apprentice carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that was one of the first and last things I ever started and finished in relation to structure.
Yeah.
But I resigned from my job the day that I got qualified.
So that's 3 years here, or how much was it?
3 years and a year with on the trade.
Yeah, okay.
So you're on the trade 4 years, but you do 1 day a week at the School of Carpentry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it was an awesome skill, like literally pretty much will build anything. And I still apply that to everyday life because, you've got surf camps here and tiny homes there and overactive brain around how can we do something better and make a crap load of money so life becomes a social experiment. That would be fun.
Yeah, there would be.
Yeah, but, I was quite young when we started MojoSurf as well, from the point of being a business person. And when I say it was a good mate of mine.
Yeah.
He was also a tradie. We were both, he was a sparky, I was a carpenter.
Oh, good.
And we were just like, get us out of here. Probably in our early 20s.
Yeah.
And, we, surfed all around the Pacific and Indonesia. And, that's what you do when you're a chippy back in the day or a tradie. Save enough money to go find the best waves. Not like Point Break, just rob banks. We had to work 6 months and then travel 6 months and get waves. But then, we just commercialized our lifestyle. We just used to travel up and down the coast in our utes and 4x4s, boards in the back, food, roughing it, sleep anywhere you fall over, and just ride all the waves. And ultimately, after the carpentry, I did end up coming back, starting a business in construction. And I was like, probably 70 hours a week, only in my early 20s, 22, 23. And I was actually working at Avalon Beach on the day that I decided to resign. And, like I'd already bought a house, I had a car, I was like, literally,
set up.
Full throttle.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do this carpentry thing, I'm going to make a crap load of money so I can surf.
Yes.
I wasn't surfing enough, so I got sick, as in not sick.
Yeah, sick of it.
Surfing.
Yes, yeah.
And sick of the trade as it was, managing people. And, I walked across the road from the job that I was on, and there it was, the big blue yonder. And I was like, I'm taking this nail bag off, man, and I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
So, that day I just kind of walked back to the job site, dropped my nail bag. See, guys, you guys have got this. There's another guy over there. You will employ you guys. And I just went surfing again.
Wow.
And did that for like 6 months. And I saw an ad in the paper.
Yeah.
And it said Friday, Saturday night, 11 till 5 a.m. Job cleaning. And I thought, that's awesome. All I need is something to keep me out of the pub. Friday, Saturday night, unreal. And a couple of bucks and, I'm brain dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was at the Avalon Beach hostel, so then I got pulled back to Avalon Beach again. And that was just a job that I was working on. So anyway, went back there and it was at Backpackers. And so I got to meet all these backpackers and then, my buddy up the coast at the time, that's where I was at the time. He's like, hey, Sydney to Byron.
Yeah.
We know Byron, we know Sydney, we know everywhere. Two and two together. We just started a mobile surf school from Sydney to Byron Bay.
Sort of like pop up, like you decide, like the customers decide on the day to do it, sort of, or would you actually do advertisement in advance?
It's like hardcore advertisement at the time. Everyone's got a buddy.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, Dicko, we're like, hey, bro, can you design us a brochure that's a cartoon? It was just a cartoon picture of a bus in a sick barrel and dudes and chicks hanging out of the bus windows.
Yeah.
Boards everywhere. We just put that on the street in King's Cross with, this is what we're going to do Monday to Friday. And we have great fun, eat, camp, surf, whatever. And, we put that out on the streets and phone started to ring. All right, we're on. We're on. So we kicked off 98, October, first trip, 7 people, and it was totally rogue, but we made it.
Very cool.
We made it to Byron on first, as in with the crew. We did our R&D, of course. You still have to do a bit of R&D.
Yeah.
But, our R&D had been 20 years of surfing the coastline and then, learning the ropes to having to be a commercial bus operator.
Of course, moving.
Much about customers. We had a philosophy that if we're having fun, they're having fun.
Is that true?
It's so true. No one could run away. It was a captive audience. We're in the middle of nowhere on a remote beach, surfing uncrowded waves in Australia.
And one of the special sauce was that you actually knew which beach was surfable for beginners or for intermediate, whatever they were.
That's right. We had to tone our, what we wanted down significantly. Because it's always safety, and you learn quite quickly that people don't even know how to put a leg rope on. They don't even know what a leg rope is.
Yes, or how to walk with it.
So, you've got to reverse learn where you're at. It's like trying to explain to someone how to walk and breathe. So it's like, oh, wow, step it right back.
Yeah.
Okay. Surfboard, caveman. And then step by step. But, everyone had a blast. And, but we just were punching out 16-hour days, more enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Take a stick at. And, but it was all fun work.
Yeah.
We were making less money than we ever made, but having way more fun. And we just had enough fuel in the tank each time. Literally, we'd run out of fuel sometimes to get to Byron. And then we'd have enough for the next week and the next week. And it just kind of built. We had no capital, really.
Yeah.
It was just built on the back of reinvesting every dollar over a long period of time in a very low margin business.
Yeah.
But if you would have told me at the start what we were really getting into, I might have thought twice about doing that.
Because sometimes touch and go sort of situations. It's where you can't pay the bills or something like that.
Oh, that part was like,
Was it because the
we always
overheads were
find a
small?
way,
Right.
you know.
Gotcha.
We could rob a bank,
Yeah.
borrow
Sure.
some money, sell something. But it was like, actually, if you broke down our business, it was super complex. It was like, we're dealing with international currencies. We're dealing with housekeeping, maintenance, repairs, construction, transport, open water activities, lots of liabilities, employing staff and
red
growing
tape.
rapidly.
Yes.
You know, and the two killers of business is not enough cash flow and growing too quickly.
Yes.
And they were both on our ass the whole time.
Right.
And we're always like, oh man, what are we going to do? We'll work it out.
Mostly international customers then, like backpackers mostly?
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of it, because you might not actually, right, and I mean, do you gel with all, I guess there's a particular vibe when people come over and want to experience, you know,
that's right,
that lifestyle in Australia. But, you know, if I think sort of like about Europeans, they have their, I guess, their own ways of like, you know, wanting to learn, wanting to feel safe or not, or wanting to go wild or not. And I guess you have to sort of give the guardrails there to push them out of their comfort zone on one side and keep them in sort of like the more manageable behavior on the other, right?
Well, surfing was a myth at the time, you know, because it's like the old day fishing or trade or whatever. You were born into it. It was in your area. You lived on the coast. And, you know, your dad or your brother or someone surfed, you know, and that was for Australia. But for the rest of the world, in landlocked countries like Germany or Switzerland or somewhere, at that time, there was not much of a industry around surfing or surf schools or how to surf. So we were quite groundbreaking. And ultimately, you know, that was attractive, that we could offer people, you know, a window into the culture and the lifestyle and the activity. You know, we weren't a cookie cutter surf school. It's like, you know, Bondi Beach, next. We were like, we're building a massive bonfire on the beach. We're skinny dipping under the full moon. We're like, you know, surfing all day long. The Irish guys are turning into beetroots with sunburn. You know, we're just like, it was like real life, commercialized, and real surfing and real culture. And, you know, it was a miracle. I call it the miracle baby, because literally there was probably a lot of liabilities, but we just went with the fun. And, you know, we always knew where the line was of, you know, don't step over that line, because that's probably not cool. But we were pre-cameras, pre-internet, pre-this, pre-that for that first, you know, say 5-6 years. When I say cameras, I mean everyone's got a phone now.
Yeah, that's right.
And it wasn't like super loose; it was still contained, but it was reckless abandonment and fun and culture and surfing and adventure. And we just knew we departed there and finished in Byron on a Friday. And then
so you would travel with
the group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't a fixed destination. You come to us, you know. It was very caravan style, you know.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, so it was super fun and super adventurous. And for the traveler, literally, like that first trip we did, those 7 people didn't get off the bus for 4 weeks.
Oh wow!
They just kept coming back, and back and back until they ran out of money.
Yeah.
And then they ended up working for us.
Amazing.
Because we were just like cooking it, you know, and we needed some help doing the dishes and cooking the food and whatever else we're doing.
I think that's something that people underestimate, what you actually can do when you're young and enthusiastic. I would say I've certainly, like, you know, in my 20s, there was so much enthusiasm for anything I did that you get help, or that people let you off, you know, and that type of thing. And I think that's the humanity that's, you know, like, as you said, like, there are certain lines you don't want to cross because it becomes suddenly very dangerous or very, very risky for whatever reason. But if you stay within sort of some boundaries that make sense, I found, like, you know, when I interact with the police, it was always fairly pleasant. Like, you know, like thinking about it, like, sometimes, you know, I probably would say, like, you know, I broke the law technically, but there was no danger or whatever. And I think if you then come in with a sour face because you're unhappy in your life, and you know, at that moment, I think you will also get the response from the policeman or whatever it happens, you know, and you run into your neighbor because you do something that the neighbor doesn't like. Versus you're high on life and you're an uplifting person. People
you're
actually
infectious.
Infectious. That's right.
He's like,
yeah,
that's cool, you know. But if you got that opposite, oh, he's dodgy, you know. If you're like,
that's right. He did made me feel not so good. There must be something wrong. Versus like, they got it going. That's all right. Yeah.
They're just like a 6-month-old Labrador with bone, you know. It's like
frothing. How can you be angry about them digging up the lawn? They have so much fun, right?
Look how much fun it looks.
I'll fix the car. Well, so what was the next step then from there?
It was basically that stereotypical growth phase of, you know, dividing into 2 buses, leaving multiple departures a week, employing staff, you know, and then it's like, you know, having to train staff and then having to get them culturally structured around the same way that you were operating, you know. So it's fun, it's safe, it's adventurous, and it's freedom and surfing. But ultimately, it was really that growth phase. And then you've got the back end as well, you know, reservations, administration, accounts payable, receivable, finance, because you got to buy more stuff, you know. And we definitely weren't in that realm. We didn't have that skill. So one of the biggest lessons for me was know your weakness and outsource it really quickly. Because if you try and do it all, you just lose the essence and the sense of what you're doing, and you'll just kind of like get bogged down in the crap, and you kind of lose your way with why you started, that passion, that purpose, connecting with the audience, until it becomes inevitable. And then one day, you know, you grow to a certain size where, you know, you're doing 35,000 people a year. You're doing, you know, multiple countries. You're dealing with foreign currencies. You're dealing with international law, and you're just going, oh, crap. Hang on a minute. I need either to step up or really optimize that outsourcing component to do all of the stuff that you don't want to do, and stay inspirational with what you do. But I'm like 50-50, you know, like
you can do stuff.
I can do stuff, you know, and it comes from entrepreneurialism is not for everyone.
No.
You know, and some people need to know what they're doing next month, next week, next year, you know, to the day, to the minute. They're freaking out.
Yeah.
Whereas, I've always chosen that, even though that is a path, that I'm just going to work with the way I work. And it's just like super flexible, super free, super identifying opportunities, jumping on them, making heaps of mistakes, but finding a way. Just, you know, like something comes out of failure. And normally what I find, there's 2 things. One is the lesson. Don't do that again. And often you will do it again and still kook out. But the other one is you meet the right person in that failure that then helps you on the next step, you know? So it's always about, not what you know, but who you know, and then what you do with who you know. You know, like I made an extension to that. It was like you meet them, but then you've got to like say, hey, let's do so. Let's you're good at that, man. Can we work something out?
That's right. Yeah, be a whoer, right? And I would have loved to learn that earlier, that I don't have to do it all myself. There's often sort of the feeling like, oh, there's a lot of money to pay someone else. The thing that I didn't consider back then is like, and it only takes 1/10 of the time, which means that I can actually do what I'm good in and bring in, you know, the revenue that is required. That's certainly something that I learned the hard way so often by, you know, doing your own tax or, you know, doing the own HR for a while. And then you know, the law is basically like, no, you needed to pay would be superannuation to these guys for the last 2 years. Like, oh, really, did I? And, you know, and things like that where you, I mean, you only do this once.
Exactly. Yeah. You do
like,
those ones once.
All right, let's do this properly. But I guess there's a rite of passage also. Like, I mean, where do you learn this stuff? you know, like you don't learn this stuff at school, really. That, like, entrepreneurship is a funny thing, and as you said, it doesn't fit everyone because you don't know the how. How do we do that? I don't know. I just know what I want to do, and the pieces slowly fall into it. And I totally respect that some people like just more planning horizon or envision the details. If you're that way inclined, I found it harder, but that's because I'm not like that. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and it's the detail. Yeah, there's those different skill bases, and you know, like for me, it was like every staff member adds value. You just got to really align them with what their value is,
Yeah.
you know, and that's either their skill or where they feel happy being. Some crew just want to, like, you know, be in the back office, and that's happiness to them.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas they're petrified to stand in front of 30 people and say, yo, guys, we're going to get out there and there's going to be waves and sharks and freaking thunderstorms or whatever else, you know?
Yeah.
But you need them and they need you, you know, and it creates that symbiotic relationship of success. And like you said, doing everything, like, I've like literally slept on the floor in the office until 4 a.m. just because, like, you just go trying to work that crap out until you just like fall over.
Yeah.
And then you're up at 6 and you're like off again. So yeah, to find the right people and get their help, that's just invaluable. It's like the biggest unblocker for scale, you know, because you can't scale without having trust in and actually connecting people with the project that they thrive on. And then things grow, you know, and it's like finding those capable staff. And also on the front end, it's the people who are a bit like you, which they're high level enthusiasm, know where the line is. You know, some people don't know where the line is, and they're like, you know, Frank the Tank, hey, honey, we're streaking. Everyone's doing it, you know?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it's classic, eh? You look around and there's no one streaking.
Yeah,
It's like,
no.
Frank, you just went a bit too far there. So, yeah, you get them coming through too, and you don't know until you get everyone in and they're actually functioning. And then you go, oh, that's a bit loose. That's cool. It's a bit soft, whatever, you know? And it's just like continuously molding what you want the customer to experience.
Yes.
And so they have that awesome opportunity to experience both Australia. So we're ambassadors for the country, for the activity of surfing, adventure, all those things. So, you know.
Yeah, sustainability probably as well, talking about things like that.
Exactly. And that came further on down the track.
Okay.
You know, because it became, back then it was like, I don't even think it was a word. You know, it was like, and then, you know, it's come along with, hang on a second, every action has a positive and negative reaction.
Yes.
And then you start going, yeah, right. Okay. Maybe we should tone that down a bit. But, you know, like when you're working with developing nations and developed nations like Australia, things you see there are like, you're like, man, he just poured a liter of oil into the sea. Like, that's crazy. And there's 280 million people and lots of fishermen. And you're probably thinking, and then they're throwing their ciggy butts and they're this and that. And you're just like, you know, this is crazy. But they don't have the education or the accountability that we might have in the West. So, yeah, you can do your best to teach that when you're there within your little pockets. And there's a big consciousness now, you know, there's a lot of it. And it's like, I always like look back at 200 years ago, America had slave labor and slaves and child labor and this, that, and the other. And so, you know, it's hard to go in and smash a nation and say, oh, you guys suck. Look at what you're doing, because you don't know what you don't know sometimes. So you got to be patient. You got to be like explaining it. You got to be saying, hey, guys. So, yeah, sustainability definitely came in and social responsibility came in. Because we got to a point where we were like, you know, I've always been very socially conscious of what you can do better for either the community, your family, your friends, or whoever's in trouble.
Yeah.
Or an opportunity to look after the planet, you know, because the sea, you know, if the sea dies, we die. Sometimes people say it's the bees, but I'm like, hey, it's the seas, man. So, you know, yeah, looking after that playground and being passionate about it, being supportive. You know, so in Indonesia, we do a lot of that stuff. You know, we call it Mojo Care under the Mojo banner, but beach cleanups. We've got environmental locations that we support. We run tours to those locations so that economic benefit goes in. We do a lot of work in schools in East Java at one of our camps there. So we do like, environmental awareness about where the rubbish goes and how it kills the turtle. Or, you've got to make it simple.
Yeah.
And on a small scale, keeping the beaches clean, but then also teaching English so that they can get opportunities to then necessarily work within our surf camps in that region. We work with an orphanage in Denpasar. And, it's just things that we can do in each location that is a priority for that location. So each camp, each location we have has a social responsibility. Environmentally, and basically humanity, planet, purpose, people, profit.
Yeah.
Profit's about sustainability.
Yeah.
If you're not profitable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, it's all in there. But we do apply that now. And, Byron, we started a care farm for people with disabilities. That was a really great project because my sister's in a wheelchair. And that was purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like literally, it's like that had its own life, so it's very expensive to operate. When the business was ripping, you could just put $100,000 into it a year.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, it's a great thing. It's good in the community. And then the environment, like where we are, on the land, on the Skinny Chute, flooded every few years in the bottom paddock where, where we had our little farm. And then it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
COVID hit. What a nightmare,
So no surfing, obviously.
Well, hey, like that was the, global financial crisis. We got through that, lost a bit of skin off our knees and elbows. COVID, I'm literally on cloud 9 in Indonesia on the way to Portugal to buy a farm on the beach with a vineyard and a perfect wave out the front with a castle maybe. I don't know. But Portugal's like it's a vibe too. We had things happening there. And then I'm in Indo, and the business is ripping. I was totally redundant. They're like, Nat, get out of the way. You just like wrecking stuff. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and find a new land. Start again. And it's like, hey, everyone turn around. Australia's closing. And I'm like, nah, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Can't be true.
Some guy had a bat in China and stopped the world. Still don't believe it. But anyway, hey, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I got a lot of other theories about that. But the reality was that the powers to be made the incredible decision to shut the world. And for us, we had operating costs of $600,000 a month. And if we don't have more than 600 coming in, well, we can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
And even though with 0 customers, you still got your fixed costs,
Yeah.
So it was like a 747 on full throttle going straight towards planet Earth. And I literally turned around on the plane, got in. There's all the hazmat dudes at the airport.
Right.
Go home, quarantine, whatever you got to do. I went straight home, put some sun cream on, paddled out the back at the point at the time. And then the cops turned up and they're like, what are you doing surfing? I'm like, I didn't know they were that onto it,
Yeah.
But what happened was they turned every neighbor into a dobber, It's like people were paranoid. Just like throwing their best friends and their neighbors and their family under the bus going, you must do what the state wants you to do. Whatever, but anyway. We had to pull it in. And then I thought, we got enough fuel in the tank to last 3 months, so we actually sponsored about 100 backpackers that were stuck at our camp down the coast. And, because they'd shut no in, no out, and everyone stay put, stay in your LGA. So I was like,
what was that again? LGA?
Local government area or something,
Yeah, okay.
So that was like, if you're in Byron, you stay here. If you're down there, you stay there. So we had like 100 crew, and I thought, hey, this is a cool challenge. We'll work with it. We'll still have fun. We'll still look after people. We'll still surf. We were so blessed to be on 6.5 acres right on the beach and looking out into the blue yonder and the sea. So we said, hey, we've got fuel in the tank for 3 months. Everyone chill. No one has to pay anything. What we're all going to do is to divide into little areas of what you like doing, So we had like a media team. We had like a fitness team. We had a health team. And, there's all different skills in 100 people. There's nurses. There's, there's fitness trainers. There's boxing people. There's environmentalists. And, we all picked a thing that we wanted to do, chose a little team, and everyone got on with it. We did the best to, follow the rules because there was a lot of rules and a lot of eyes. And 3 months came and went. And then I was like, holy cow, we've literally got zero money coming in and still 100 staff in Indonesia, few in Europe, and most staff in Australia after 3 months were evolving out because they could see it wasn't going to reopen in a hurry, So then it was like, we need to pivot or die as a business.
Yeah.
Because we still needed to pull in enough money.
Yeah.
There's no support, for Indonesia,
right,
from a government level. So that the contractors and the employees in 4 surf camps, we actually just asked them to clean the beach to keep their minds good. Everyone meet 2 days a week and just go and do something in your community.
Yeah.
And we would send them enough money. It was still 20 to 30 grand a month just to keep the staff.
Yeah. So you stretch it a bit that way.
Yeah, that's right. Every month we'd we'd send it over to the team leaders and they would distribute the funds and care in that community.
Yes.
So, but to do that in Australia, we had to pivot and we had to build a multi-million-dollar business in 0 time and the middle of COVID. So that was a huge challenge in an industry we knew not much about. But what we did is we looked at what are our resources. We've got beds, we've got buses, and we've got enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And we've got a high level of customer service, within me in Australia at that point, because there was a point where everyone had left, probably 100 staff in Australia, or they were on, the government, the $750 a week and the superannuation. So you're like, I'm getting a ute, I'm going surfing every day, I'm going to buy 10 boards. So for surfers, it was pretty good. But if you're in business and you're in the cold, blowtorch of reality, we're going bankrupt or we're not, then, it was like get in the trenches. And we actually applied our resources to farming. So
farming, completely different. Not surfing, farming.
Yeah, but we weren't doing the farming. We actually... and no one in Australia was farming because all the Aussies who would pick the fruit or the backpackers who would pick the fruit and service the farms with employment, they were all on the 750. So they were like,
right,
we're not working. The farms are freaking out because they can't get stuff off the vines. Costs in the supermarket shelves are through the roof.
Yeah, right.
Luckily, a Tongan friend of mine, Steve, had been coming from Tonga every year to our caravan park with 20 of his staff to pick blueberries on the Coffs Coast. And I rang Steve and I rang his contracting owners and said, hey, we've got a couple of 100 spare beds. We've got buses. And do you guys need any accommodation or whatever? Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? We need 200 beds. We need bus drivers and we need everything we had.
Yeah.
And because it was the boogeyman, this COVID thing.
Yes.
No one wanted to house anyone, If you're a stranger, you're like, don't come here.
Yeah.
So we were like, come on in. And so we retooled, restructured, re-employed. We just started running, with our care departments and our transport crew and our beds. And we became the United Pacific Nations. We had Tongans, Samoans, Timorese, Kiribati, Nauru, Fiji, PNG, Vanuatu, all living in our little caravan park.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy buzz vibe. and we're still getting sticks and stones thrown at us because they're like, what are they doing all in there? Because boogeyman syndrome. And we really had to it was either do that or be wiped out.
Yeah.
And then I probably would have become a monk in Bhutan or something.
Second option.
That's what we did. And it, we were obviously supported by the contract groups because they were flying, our Pacific nations in to help Australia with its employment problem.
So that was allowed.
It was a foreign aid program by the federal government.
Yeah.
It was totally allowed, totally encouraged, and totally supported.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no food on the table. And, we picked, the guys that were living with us over a 2-3 year period picked like $40 million worth of vegetables and fruit and, just in that area.
Yeah.
I did the math and I was like, that's making a big difference. It's a lot of food.
Yeah.
And they looked after their country, their family and their community because they're all on good Aussie dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And, they might make 150 back home, but they were making 12 to 14, 1,500 a week and flat out working 6 days, big days. So it was a good win-win for everybody, At the end of the day, that was just like a miracle because now I'm like the king of the Pacific. Well, one of them. Now, that was a miracle because we ended up breaking even over 2 to 3 years because we had to buy a lot of stock. We had so many other new challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Your buses are too loud. There's too many people in the camp. You guys aren't being COVID safe. We were being like awesome, actually. Especially because we were caring for, that many Pacific Islanders and they're not used to the Australian regulations.
Regulation. Oh, gotcha.
The other,
right, yeah.
So, yeah, we had an awesome time and it was like sharing, it was singing and it was eating and it was family. We were a big Pacific family.
Mm-hmm.
And now that has evolved another social.
I wonder where did this go? So this didn't completely disappear afterwards?
No. So it did come to an end and we pivoted back to surf and everything opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And, things gradually got back on their feet.
Yeah.
We incurred a lot of bumps and bruises, a lot of debt, a couple of million in debt just to get through trading capital because it took 9 months to get the Islanders to come to the camp and then to start working and we had to buy an enormous amount of extra buses, accommodation, all those sorts of things. But where it is from a social point of view now is that, I love Indonesia. We got, surf in Indonesia, care a lot there. But now I've got like real family in the Pacific, and we went to the Solomons. We're traveling around now and we're starting basically the United Pacific Development Program. And that is about looking after the people who have looked after us time and time again.
Yeah.
A lot of Aussies wouldn't realize that if it wasn't for the Pacific, World War II would be maybe speaking Japanese.
Right.
I'm cool with that. But, but this ring of support and care, and then if it wasn't for the Pacific, we wouldn't have been eating over the COVID period. And, people don't realize and look underneath some of the things that the Pacific do for us. And now, I really feel strongly and passionately that Australia has a huge obligation, especially with the global warming and that sustainability. A lot of the things that we may do as a country negatively impacts on their life and their living. So, yeah, that's going to be the next 10 years is going to be like, what can we do for them?
Yeah. I'm not very averse, but how the connection between Australia and the Pacific Islands are. I know in New Zealand it's very strong. That's where I lived for 12 years, and I could see that was certainly a thing. Australia is not quite the same, is it?
I think the population's bigger here, so you don't see it in the concentration as much.
Yeah.
And, like that, they'll often, our Pacific neighbours and crew would often migrate to areas where there's more and other Pacific nations, peoples. In Australia, so it might be isolated in different areas. But ultimately, I couldn't believe the stats. There's like, I don't know, circa somewhere between 30 to 40 million Pacific neighbours. And they're, they've got natural resources, they've got threats, they've got opportunities. and Australia and New Zealand. Like New Zealand also, I believe, probably done a good job of like looking after, because they're closer.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah, they're slightly closer, so a lot of flights will drop there and then go there. But ultimately, yeah, Australia's got a huge opportunity and a huge obligation to engage and support and, kind of take responsibility for what that opportunity is.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, what an accidental sort of discovery, I guess.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and it's still got surf, it's surrounded by the best waves in the world.
Yeah, right.
And it's got reefs for diving, and it's got wonderful people, and, a lot of what they have, we had as a nation before, like,
so
really
what you
connected.
said right. And what you said before, like they're at a stage a bit earlier than where we are now. So,
that's right.
I guess guiding those waters, to maybe make not all of the mistakes that we made over the last 200 years would be nice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They're still very, well, they're both vulnerable, but they're enthusiastic about their opportunities.
Yes.
And they're very committed and creative. They want to see their.
Yeah.
But, we went to the Solomons to do a program last December.
Yeah.
And this was our first one. And it was about, and we were working with some of the local elders and community leaders because they invited us there. And they wanted us just to do an assessment of what their opportunities are as a region, a coastline, group, a village, whatever. And, the tourism is a beautiful concept, but it's also super dangerous if you evolve or create the wrong tourism.
Yes. Yeah. Too much alcohol, too much westernization.
Yeah, this, that, the other, exploitation, rubbish, attitude. And sometimes an attitude that's like, oh, just do that for me, or whatever. It's like that entitled attitude. I just paid a fortune to be at this resort, and you can't even not burn the toast, like, whatever, Yeah, the West has a lot to answer for, but so we identified a whole lot of things that they can do. We're working towards integrating those things that they can do and supporting them along the way. So, and it's all about very low impact, high respect programs that they can do, own, train, and expand throughout their communities or region.
Yeah.
And, working with other NGOs as well. But that's like to be continued. It's another big project.
Yeah. So cool. And that all came about because you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Out of need as well.
We did lots of wrong things.
Yeah. You failed forward.
Even that was wrong in a lot of people's eyes. You wrecked our community. You brought in, 300 Pacific Islanders, whatever, but I was like enemy number one there for a year. Like literally in the newspapers, on the TV, this guy's whatever, but in reality, all we're doing was caring for people that were less fortunate than ourselves. But we saved each other. They actually sang at my daughter's wedding on the weekend, all the Tongan brothers and sisters. And, I was just like, oh, it's tearjerker, because when they sing, they face the sea and it's like they're singing to their home. Yeah. And, it's just so beautiful that we still have that. And, we cook up a big umu, which is like a hangi, under the ground. We're adopting a lot that they do, and they're adopting a lot of opportunity that we may have. That's, like I said, that's to be continued. And I think I'll spend another 10 years just trying to work out ways that we can help the Pacific and collectively with other, like-minded groups for them to have more prosperity, more security, education around sustainability and awareness around that. Because, with the West comes technology and often rubbish or pollution or attitude. So we just need to be careful. That's what we're trying to do before maybe someone else does it with a different attitude.
Yeah. And I guess because you actually intimately know these people and know their values.
Yeah.
I think you have a really great chance to blend in a way that it actually is really reciprocity for sure.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, you got to watch that space. You can come. You can come over.
Oh, that's very nice. Yes. So, did you say that you sort of created this travel again, meaning like you go to different islands, or are you starting to establish like bases?
Yeah, we're doing the research, and then we'll make a proper full set of recommendations, try to engage NGOs and government support.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were literally in a banana boat for 4 days getting cooked in the sun, flying along the weather coast of the Solomon Islands, which is the most rugged place on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And it's like you're in the SAS. You're like, we had shirts tied on with eye holes and our hats on and just trying not to get cooked.
Yeah.
No cover. And then you'd fly into a village, and it comes from deep water straight up onto a big pebbly beach. And you literally have to go flat out in between the sets and skid straight up the beach, you know?
Fun.
And then there's like, 100 villagers there that hook up the front of the boat, and then they just skull drag it up away from the next wave.
Yeah.
And you got to get out that way too. Getting out's like, we actually, because there was no waves in that spot, we surfed behind the boat, just with a rope and, but they'd never seen that before. So as we'd leave, we'd get behind the boat and do a bit of a surf drive by.
Yeah. Oh, fun.
It's pretty funny. They loved it. It's like screaming. But they like fed us, cared for us, listened. And I'm telling you, like some of these villages, they haven't changed in 2,000 years.
Wow.
And the water was pristine, crystal clear water just coming down these perfect creeks.
Yeah.
And they haven't mined or they haven't done anything yet, or logged. And these areas are just like, whoa, that's crazy,
Beautiful.
That's why I'm like, wow, this is so sensitive.
Yeah.
You can't build a road or do this or do that. If we can make a suggestion to the way that you guys can integrate, it's about very small group conscious supportive tourism.
Yes.
That's not there to change, indoctrinate, do whatever. It's about passively engaging, and it's just so phenomenal. Like the photos and the videos, you would freak out.
Wow.
It's worth going to see.
Yeah.
But like literally, and there's kids surfing, these little shore breaks.
Yeah.
And they cut the trees out of the bush and tie them together with dowel and vine, and they're out there surfing.
Wow.
So we did donate. We actually built a school there. We donated a couple of school buses. That's back in Honiara, and about 50 surfboards that were in working conditions.
Yeah. Very cool.
To kind of like, because they're already surfing. They're like, we want to surf.
We
also taught a lot of the Solomon Islanders when they were with us at the caravan park how to surf. So they took surfing back to those regions, and that'll ongoingly happen, and we'll continue to do what we can with what we've got.
Yeah.
But I will be encouraging everybody to help us.
and I think if you're in the water surfing, then slowly you cultivate, or maybe not so slowly, but you definitely cultivate that sense of pristine, looking after the place and so on. If you do it right.
Absolutely.
Unless it's like just an adrenaline chasing sort of a setup, which I imagine can happen too and might happen. But if you go your route, then you definitely cultivate that caring for nature there, right?
I'd been that guy just looking for the wave, just like, we just want the best wave, and when you're young or whatever. And then when you become a bit more conscious, and you realize that, hey, we're a big part of the problem because we're bringing in the wrong attitude, vibe, products, whatever. You have to become part of the solution, So no better way than be aware when you go into a new zone, which is totally sensitive and totally raw, to teach the community or the locals that, that what they have is what a lot of the West are looking for. Peace.
Yes.
No Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Hardly any roads. Beautiful culture and people. A lot of sharing. And the things that where we may have lost our way, if you're in a big city or whatever else, and you're chasing the mighty dollar and the new car and the this and that, they're still very, just green and they might think and have heard about these big things and these wondrous lands and these, it's literally like that. You're like an alien And then so you're like, right, yeah, we cannot destroy what we actually want to return to
Yes.
and see and feel and be a part of.
Yeah.
So really small, respectful tourism or groups would be the only way that you could necessarily recommend that they might, you know, and actually helping them with the land. And, you know, actually it's a matriarchal system over there.
Oh.
So the women own the land.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So they're very actually cautious, you know, so, yeah, it was really good to see that, you know, from a nation and from a culture.
Yeah, it must be a different energy that way.
You know, a lot of blokes would just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm off to the casino, guys.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I've seen
Yeah.
it happen a lot
Definitely.
in other places where
Okay.
the family in the village and everyone lost the land because they just handed
Cashed
it over.
in, yeah.
For short-term gain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just one other window of stuff that I've tripped up on.
Yeah.
To follow that path.
So no more castle in Portugal?
Sad but true. You know,
Okay.
I might get back there one day.
Yeah. So your focus will be the Pacific, not Europe. Europe.
Definitely. No, definitely the Europe. We're actually back in Portugal now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're operating there. It's a great place. People are great. The cost of operations good. But it's still, you know, Spain and France and all those locations in Europe, they're really flat out. Portugal is getting flat out now too.
Yeah,
So many people.
Yeah.
But you know, it's still nice. The people are lovely and the waves are great. And you know, you've got some King Kong waves there, dude. You know, you're like,
oh, the surfer lingo.
There's a threshold for everyone, and
cool.
There's some waves there too, and like everywhere in the world, but it's a really interesting place to go.
Yeah, cool.
A lot of history and culture and good surf.
Hey, did you hear in Hawaii during the lockdown there was little to no tourism and therefore no sunscreen in the water? Did you look into that?
I do know a bit about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because that's something that wouldn't have been obvious to me that it would make that I would have an impact when using, you know, traditional sunscreen that is often, you know, petrochemical based, of course.
Yeah, that's true. I've got a good friend, Alison, from Alison's Adventures. She lives in Hawaii in a tree house in the Big Island.
Yeah.
And she's an advocate against plastic, against pollutants that destroy the reefs. So yeah, she's always ringing that bell, man. When I'm there, she's like, "Not that sunscreen, this one."
The
impacts are quite significant.
I had someone years ago on the podcast who developed sunscreen with algae, and she became the supplier to Hawaiian Airlines, which is one of the main airlines going there, right? But I thought they actually the government took it as far as banning traditional ones, but maybe not. It would have been great.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And people like your buddy and like Alison, they really put a spotlight on it. So it's like, and
because there's a solution, right? So easy when you actually say, well, actually you just have to use a different one versus, well, just don't use that one. So, well, I want to do something for, you know, for my skin or whatever. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
petrol companies won't like it, but hey,
look, you know,
there's a lot of sun cream out there, but there's alternatives, and you know, there's a lot of conversations around that area at the moment, and obviously melanoma, skin cancer, and what is the root cause of those, and why do we even wear sun cream, and the evolution of the migration of the world, you know, and we're in countries that are super hot and super cooking, and you know, and whatever else. So it's a big conversation, but if you can go natural and pay an extra little bit of money, hey, everyone's responsible for that.
You know,
you're doing your bit.
Yeah, and you want to. I stopped using sunglasses years and years ago because I looked into some sort of skin and how it actually knows how to sort of protect itself. And sunglasses was actually something that would it would measure wrongly, right? So the sunglasses like, the sun is not that hot.
Yeah.
And they're not that strong.
Yeah.
That was a medical study and I was blown away. I was like, really? That makes sense. And sort of there's a lot that we probably don't know yet.
Exactly. Yeah. And all that is just evolving as well. And it's like, your eyes, you know, basically a detector for the pigment in your skin.
Right.
Of, you know,
Yes.
And there is that research. You've done it.
Yeah.
You know, like I still cheat, but I have periods of the day where I don't wear anything because you want to try and tune in with your zone. And even sun cream, I've always avoided it mostly, just to surf early and late, as opposed to you know, getting cooked. Like maybe when I was a bit younger, I was getting cooked all day.
Yeah.
And you know, you wake up in the morning when you're a grommet and your lips are stuck together because
Really?
they're all blistered.
Oh,
and
man.
you just keep cooking yourself. You have to kind of lick your way out of them. And then you go surf and you just skin's falling off you and you're just like cooking. Yeah. So, but there is a lot of information about options and alternatives to just slapping on the next best thing in the supermarket.
Yeah.
But you know, like that's then a global thing too. It's like, you know, that educational side of things. For, that sustainability that you're talking about. How do you better care for yourself, your planet, and have less impact? You know, and you don't want to take it the wrong way too, where unfortunately humanity has impact, but it also creates solutions. And solutions like your mate's algae, you know, there's alternatives to probably every product we're using, but it's about the dollar, you know, the mighty dollar. If it's not good for the back pocket of whoever's the proprietor, then we're not going to tell you about that.
No, it's tricky.
Yeah, pretty tricky. So, hey, that's a rabbit hole.
Well, you're a great example of, you know, how it can be done and actually benefit, you know, as you said, the culture, the environment, you know, the overall individual that is involved and so on. That's so inspiring. And I think that's how it should be. Yeah, 360 sort of like holistic company that does well.
Yeah, that's right. And everyone's got a bit of egg on their face. Like
nothing is perfect, right?
You know, MojoSurf 2.0, we call it 3.0 now because we've like evolved and died multiple times. But 3.0, you know, fun, safe, conscious, still a little bit radical, and, you know, committed, you know, like I'm just like a dog on a bone. If I want to do something or decide to do it, then I like to see it through to be that vision of how it started out. So yeah, it's growing again. We're back on our feet. It's a miracle baby, and we're rapidly growing again. So we're in that. But there's a lot more balls in the air too, you know, because we've got the sustainability side, we've got the Pacific programs. There's so much to do over the next, you know, 5 to 10 years. And yeah, I'm throwing it out there if anyone wants to jump in and help out, who knows something about something, and be a part of that journey. And I find I spend a lot more time these days in the social and sustainable side of the business as opposed to that technology side. All the growth's through technology now. You know? We're connecting with our customers online. And that's not my jam. So I'm just like a troglodyte online, and just working more with behind the cold face, and more with these projects and programs. And, you know, I pretty much will drive into all of our outlets to do something.
Right.
And if everyone just says, I'll do something, then it's going to make a huge difference because it's a collective, isn't it? In the world.
Yeah, definitely.
You feel like
it's a group effort.
Why do I even separate my rubbish? Because no one else is doing it, you know, but it's like that collective that makes a difference. And we'll get there.
We get there.
Yeah.
Very good. I like your optimism.
Oh, for sure.
So if people want to jump on to, well, either being participant or working with MojoSurf, that's mojosurf.com.
Yes.
All one word.
Yeah.
Yes.
MojoSurf.com.
Nice.
Because, we're so global.
Yeah. So what are a couple of places that you are in? You mentioned quite a few, but just to double check. So
yeah, we'd been in New Zealand. We were in Raglan with a couple of buddies over there. You know, that kind of, it was a thing, but it's a short season and it was hard for that to be sustainable. And the locals do a great job there. You know, we were just a branding kind of delivery, and we still do some stuff. Australia is like our backyard. That's, you know, born and bred Australia, but every Aussie surfer is part Indonesian because they just spent half their youth there growing up surfing and eating nasi goreng. So we're throughout Indonesia, like 4 different locations. We are in Portugal, and there's ultimately a lot of kind of like little Mojo pop-ups around the world where, you know, in a developing nation, they'll just borrow the brand and they just start their own.
Oh, cool.
It's like, you know, these little Quicksilver, Billabong, Rip Curl shirts you can get in Bali. You know, they're not from guys.
No.
But they're like, hey. So I'm like, hey, look, these guys are doing little Mojo things in Sri Lanka or wherever else. And I'm like, good on you, buddy.
All right.
You know, Costa Rica. And I'm like, oh, no, Mojo. I'm like, it's growing without me even being there. I don't know how to... Yeah, Canary Islands. Like, you know, so fun. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's...
Good you're relaxed about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's because, I don't know. Hey, I don't know. It's like, how do you control that? I see that as a compliment. They want to work under your brand.
Yeah. And
you're like, oh, far out. Okay.
Yeah, we have that with we've certain sort of protection mechanisms in our EMF and our saunas, and that's something that many people use without our permission, but we would never go after it because it would be just ethically not right to you know, it's a safety feature. Then that's a good thing.
It'd be a mega mission, but you don't want someone abusing the brand and doing a rubbish job. No. But actually, where we would go is in the future. I've already kind of worked out how we'll do it. We'll just basically take the templates, you know, life and often running a business is about your templates and your structures and your checklists and your connectivity with the world.
Yep.
And we would necessarily say, hey, you know, you're already kind of doing it. Do you want these in your back end? And we'll help you grow. Yeah. Because we are, like I was saying before, we're a collective of micro businesses all throughout Indonesia. We don't own or operate the whole thing. We co-own it and we support it and we make it a community project and a community program. And everyone gets the benefits, you know?
Yeah,
and that way, we just see them really, really embrace it. And it doesn't always work. Like, I'm a big believer in that fail fast.
Yeah.
Give a lot of rope, you know, money, rope, ideas, concept, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you get burned, you lose a bit, but you don't lose 10 years worth of work, you know?
Yeah.
And then out of that burning, like I said, every failure leads to the right person.
Yes.
Someone sticks their hand up.
Yeah.
And says, man, I didn't want to step up, but that's uncool. I'm that guy. I'll take the brand.
Yeah.
I'll take the responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'll make it happen for you.
Yeah. Right.
And then that's what happened, you know, throughout. And you gotta, you know, patience is huge too. Because if you go in there, I love the Western expectations in an Eastern culture. It's a classic. That's my first line. Okay, guys, train's going to be late. Whatever your Western expectation is, just put it over there. We are in their country now, and it's the East, or it's like wherever we are. Let's roll with them. You know, we'll do our best to have a good time, make things on time, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, they got the reins, and you'll be safe, you'll have fun, but go with the flow.
Yeah.
Just roll with it.
You overestimate what you can do within a week, but you underestimate what you can do in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I found in 5 and 10 years, if that's your planning horizon, amazing.
Exactly. Those incremental wins. But then you can get kneecapped, like, you know, like a COVID or something.
Yeah.
And I could have just turned into an alcoholic, rolled over and told everyone why it didn't work.
Yeah.
That would have been fun and easy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Those, the streets are littered with that as well.
Littered with it, yeah. So my message to the world is, just hang in there, keep chipping away, turn up, just turn up.
Yeah,
you never know what the next day is going to bring, and I
will remember that.
Keep surfing, bro.
I got 4 quick questions for you.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. Keep breathing.
Yes. Are you doing breath work?
I do breathe. I've been in and out. You know, of all of the phases of both breath work, health, ice, sauna, maybe, you know, stretchy pants, whatever's going on.
Yeah, right. You in legging pants. The leggings. Yeah, really?
Good look.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, it's like, woo, how you going? But breathing just in general. So a lot of people go into paralysis in fear.
Yeah.
And breath, and I have done breathing work, and I just naturally, you know, breathe when I need to. But keep breathing in business or in life or in challenge or consequence or opportunity. It's just such a grounding thing. and find a way.
Yeah.
Find
Love
a
it.
way.
Yeah.
Because there's a way,
There's always a way.
That might be just like walking away,
Mhm.
but there's always a way. But yeah, don't go into paralysis and find a way.
Definition of suicide, by the way, is when the brain thinks there's no other option. As soon as you have an option, it would not do that because it's unnatural in the sense. But if you really think it's like dire straight, so opposite of what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I had some coaches on, some years ago actually on that topic, and they said that's why it happens because people have don't see any way out of it. Yeah. And if you have your attitude, that's sort of like that. Keep breathing, it will come up. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and that is a sad reality too, that people might not see, the horizon. They're just like looking at the obstacle.
Yeah, and that's where good friends come in and, remind themselves, no, there is another way.
Yeah.
Isolation is dangerous that way for certain personality types, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe anyone.
Yeah, that's right. Peace is a good thing though. Everyone needs to go walkabout. I love that traditional, First Nations concept of walkabout. It's just to go and find yourself again. I even preach that to my staff. Yeah. I'm like, when you lose your mojo and the spark in your eye, it might not be you and it might not be us. It just means that you just have to go and find yourself again.
So you mean it literally doing the walkabout through bush, through
either
forest,
through bush or just going into a new environment again.
Okay,
it can be applied anywhere in the world.
Yeah, okay.
But definitely connecting with nature.
Yes.
Because nature is, it always finds a way. It's always
that's true.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And it's timeless. It's just going to keep on trucking. So yeah, that's a big opportunity. But there's just so many different, applications these days. Yep. If you're an alcoholic, drug addict, surf addict, whatever, and your life's falling apart because you're an addict at something. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to get out, look back down on yourself, and get friends, like you said. I've always had great people around me and great staff to help carry the load and also find a path. And sometimes you don't choose their path, and you're wrong, and sometimes you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's nothing bad about it. You just go, free lesson.
If you could have a coffee with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably. There's probably two people. There's the one who's like, Scott Dillon he was the forefather of surfing in Australia.
Okay.
Shaper, surf museum, ultimate enthusiast, wild, unbridled champion, legend guy.
Yeah.
He's passed on now. And we used to have a lot of coffees, a lot of beers, a lot of welcome drinks. He was like a 26-year-old, 90-year-old.
Wow. Yes.
But he's a great guy and really, he didn't rub everyone up the right way because he was a real man of himself and where he was going. But we had a lot of fun together, and it'd be great to have a coffee with Scott. And probably my grandfather. He was just such a grounded champion of being, your everyday guy.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he was like, just a great community person. He worked hard. He helped the neighbours. He wasn't necessarily a standout legend, but he was my anchor and my rock in life.
I relate to that a lot, actually,
because my life was turbulent.
Yeah.
We were just broken families, people dying, people crying.
Yeah.
Stuff going everywhere. Never lived in a house. Went to probably 20 different schools around everywhere.
Yeah.
And life was just like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
But every time I went there, it was like chill.
Yeah.
And eat strawberries in the backyard, whatever.
Yeah. Sounds like my grandmother, and in some ways, yeah. Great. Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. It's important.
Yeah.
What book has had the most impact on you over time?
For me, there's a billion books out there.
Yeah.
For being uneducated, and when I say uneducated, like leaving school early and then having to grow a business, one book I read resonated, and I was like, right, I'll apply that book. And that's what helped me scale. And that was just the E-Myth.
Yeah.
You know the E-Myth?
E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Yeah.
Good book.
I found it in a milk crate with a whole lot of other books when I was about 20. And I was like, someone's thrown out all these books. I never read a book in my life. Except for Jaws. I read that book. That was so scary.
I didn't know there was a book to it. Yeah,
I couldn't put it down, man. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Here's the book. But anyway, and I found this old box of books that someone who gave up on the books threw out, and I just read that one, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
kept all the books, and there was like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Think and Grow Rich. Probably.
Yeah, and it was like, all these classic books that everyone tells you to read now, but they were all there in a milk crate.
Yeah, ready.
In the throwaway pile.
Yeah, great.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, they're all good books. They're
Tuesdays with Maury, that was a good one.
Oh, I don't know that one. I mean, I've heard about it, but I've never read it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's it's a short, simple book. I love the 1 Minute Managers and the 1 Minute Salespersons. Like, I'm a big fan of little books because, like school wasn't a strength of mine. That whole 1 minute, whole category of books is good. But if there's one book that I ask my team leaders to read, it's the E-Myth.
Yeah.
Because then they get to know what we're talking about. It might be a bit commercial, but you take what you want and leave what you don't want.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's the right way to read a book.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, agree with what you agree with and disagree, and take what you want.
That's it. And the two, it's like great customer service. There's only 2 problems. It's either a staff error or a systems error.
Mm-hmm.
And scale up.
Yeah, fix it.
Yeah, try and do a good job. Sell burgers, man. Sell burgers.
Hey, how do you start your day?
Oh,
is there a particular way you do?
Look, I feel like life is like 9 lives. I've started my days religiously at one point in my life by the first thing you do is open your eyes and hit the beach, paddle out, rain, hail, or shine.
Wow.
I've been through life where I, wake up and get on the tools and just charge the mountain in a project. Now I'm kind of really, I just flow now. It's like I do what I want to do where I'm at the time and how I feel. Some days if I wake up and I'm feeling a bit tight, I'll go and stretch, if I'm feeling dry, I'll go to the beach and get a wave. I hate peak hour traffic and I hate crowded lineups. So, 1 foot onshore close out is just as important to me as a 6 to 8 foot perfect barrel with, 500 people out. But, so I'm really in that flow place where
that's great.
I'm not in a religious routine.
Yeah,
I'm more in how do I feel today?
Yeah.
So that could take me anywhere.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Stay flexible that way.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hey, Nathan, that was a very nice conversation. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm really inspired by, how you sort of made lemonade when you got lemons, during COVID and in other places. So I found it, really inspiring. And I wish MojoSurf and yourself all the best to take it even further. And by the sounds of it, you got this.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We'll have to go paddle out one day. And
I would love to. Teach me.
You throw me in a sauna, dude, and cook me.
Because I haven't surfed since I've been 20, so it has been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if my body can still do it, but with you, probably.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you're riding, as long as you're in the ocean, out the back, having a good time, and, it's just like enjoying nature. That's one of the last escape frontiers. You're connected most of the time, but even though people are wearing watches now, it's kind of like, they can get connected to. But you can still escape into the sea.
Brilliant. Love it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Okay, you go well.
Yeah. Cheers, bro.